This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the Mark Weber.
Dub them East.
And we are back for the Onside Kick here on Most Valuable Podcast, your one-stop shop for everything NFL and everything related to the NFL. And Mark, before we start, the viewers and the listeners really have to take this podcast in.
Really enjoy that Dub them East this week.
Because you're not going to hear it for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to be gone for a while.
Mark's not going to be here the 26th. He's not going to be here the 3rd. He's not going to be here the 10th. It's going to be Brandon and I, though, on the Onside Kick. So at least somebody will be coming in that at least
you guys are going to get to talk about real football. So
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Well, Brandon gets to talk about real football for once. I'm always talking about real football, as I'm always here on the Onside Kick. But Mark, you're going to be traveling a little bit, going out of the state.
Out and about.
Mark will not be here, so you really got to take this one and really let it sink in and soak in, because you won't see Mark for some time. But we got a jam-packed show, really the NFC North podcast today, as we're talking about the Detroit Lions, magically 0-2. And I know we're talking about the Lions without our resident Lions guy isn't here. So we're talking without Mike Slawinski, close friend
2-0.
to
I think
the
he
show.
said 0-2.
They are 2-0. I'm just so used to 0-16.
I totally get it.
That it comes out. That's how it comes off the brain. But then we're talking about the Chicago Bears, your Bears, should they start Mitch Trubisky. And then we're talking about coaches who have started 0-2 and which ones could be on the hot seat after their 0-2 starts before we end the show and make our picks for week number 3. But let's get into the first topic. And I'll be honest, this one, I kind of had 2 ways I wanted to phrase this topic, because I saw it on First Take and they were like, what are the Lions' chances to win the Super Bowl? And I went, we could talk about that. But then I'm like, you know what? I don't want to jump the gun. The Lions haven't won a playoff game since like the 90s. Yeah. They haven't won the NFC North. They haven't won a playoff game in forever. They haven't won the NFC North since I think it was 92, 93.
They typically... This is not surprising for the Lions to do well against a couple of teams, which there's a good chance they will have losing records at the end of the season. Yeah. Now, the Giants are surprised that they're going to have a losing record at the end of the season, but they've been terrible. We'll get to it. Yeah. But, the Lions are that team that always do well against the bad teams. They just never really do as well as they should against the good teams, the teams with the winning records. So continue about your topic.
And I actually looked it up, where they haven't won a playoff game since they beat the Cowboys in the divisional playoffs of the 1991 playoffs when I was 1 year old. I was a 1 year old when that happened.
Well, depending on when it happened.
It would have been that game. I'm going to look up when that game happened. Was it a
December game or a January game?
It was a December.
All right, I was alive.
Was it December?
If it was December, I was alive.
December 29th.
I was alive.
So Mark was technically alive for that game.
In 1991, I was born February 27th.
Okay.
So I was alive.
It was a December 91 game. And then we had in 1993, that was the last time they had ever finished at the top of the division.
I was still alive at that point.
The difference, though, is that was the NFC Central. So since 2002, when the North was created, the Lions have never been kings of the North. They have never been king of the North for the NFC. And I didn't want to go Super Bowl because I wanted the expectations. I wanted to knock it down a little bit. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Yeah. The Chiefs, we can do that because I think they are on that level, whereas the Lions win a playoff game first. Then we'll talk about Super Bowl chances. But after a 2-0 start, I know they played the Cardinals. I know they played the Giants. Could the Lions win the NFC North for the first time ever and the first division win since 1993?
Well, I think that they can win the division, yes. And I'm sorry that I'm looking down. I'm looking for a quote. This was from Twitter. If I can pull up I'm going to keep talking, but if I can pull up the actual tweet. Oh, from Ryan Field. Okay. At Ryan Field ABC. If the Detroit Lions were wearing Dallas Cowboys uniforms, they would be the talk of the NFL right now.
Same colors. A different shade of blue, though. A lighter shade of blue.
Yeah. It's got that baby blue. But I think it's an interesting thought there, because I think, of course the Lions can win the NFC North right now. They're sitting on top of it. So they can totally do it. But my thing I think back on is like, the Lions always impress when they're playing teams that are 500 and below. It's when they start playing the teams that are above 500. And remember, it's only week 2.
Like the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, when they start playing that, when they're going to play the Falcons this week. When they play teams that will end the season with winning records, that's when they start to not look as great. And really what this team does is they come out and they win comebacks. I mean, how many times does Matthew Stafford force this team, whether they want to win or not, to actually win a game? That's what he does. And that's why it's so much easier. And this is going to sound really obvious, John Madden, but that's why it's so much easier for them to beat these below average teams, because he's able to make those comebacks. If the Lions put themselves in the position to win early on, then they would be an amazing team, because Matthew Stafford, if the team starts to fall behind, he can go out there and do it. The problem for this Lions team is exactly that. So I think this Falcons game is really going to tell us a lot. And
that's the thing. They're playing the Falcons this week, and the thing that, and
to be fair, the Falcons like to blow leads. So maybe this will be a great game for the Lions.
Here's the thing, though, with it, is the Falcons, I think this game is going to be different than we saw the Falcons week 1. Not only was week 1, we saw a lot of just bad football from a lot of teams. We got to get the rust off in the NFL. There were a lot of just special team errors and things that you don't see late in the season. Yeah. And the thing that I don't think we'll see that this week, because Atlanta's already had 2 weeks now. They played well this past week against Green Bay, but also Atlanta plays well. When they were in Chicago, they're playing on natural grass outside. That's not a friend of a team like Atlanta, where the offense wants to go as fast as possible. Domes are where they really kind of do their best work, and they'll be playing in a dome in Minnesota, but
are in
Detroit. I'm talking ahead, though, where now the Lions, let's say they win this week, their next 3 games could be back to that below average. And the way I say below average is the Panthers, who they'll play 2 weeks from now, they have a big injury in Greg Olsen, and their passing game, who are they going to fit in to kind of go with that load? He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. The New Orleans Saints have looked like crap. Another dome that they're going to be playing in, and the defense is so bad that Matt Stafford could have 5, 6, 7 touchdowns in that game. And then Minnesota, by week 4, is Sam Bradford back? Is he out longer? How much time does he miss? Because that team is a different team when Sam Bradford isn't out there. That showed this past week. So, this is a Lions team that, if the cards fall right, if they can get a big win this week, could start the season 6-0.
And remember, when it comes to the Vikings, Sam Bradford gave the Vikings fans out there 16 full games.
Last year.
Yeah.
I called it last year. I didn't call it this year.
So he's done. He doesn't have to play a single game from this point forward.
You know what was and this is my little snippet about Sam Bradford that was kind of like, when I heard it was, they're like, they don't know what exactly he tore or what he did, because there's so much scar tissue in that knee.
I really wish they would
so much to it already.
I really wish they would say, we don't really know what he did. He just says it hurts. What hurts? His whole body. It just hurts.
Don't worry. The guy that the Vikings hired to teach him how to be cool knows what to do.
Yeah, that kid, that 17-year-old or whatever. So for the Lions, you're right. The Lions could totally go 6-0, and it would not surprise me. And that's why I'm saying this team can definitely be the team to win the NFC North. And Lions fans are going to hate me for doing this, but it really depends on what the Packers do. The Packers are the ones who, if they struggle, if they don't give Aaron Rodgers the help he needs, if Jordy Nelson doesn't get healthy, if they continue to have all these defensive injuries, because this defense looked fine week 1,
and they don't
week
have
2,
the same kind of they don't have the same kind of a defense as like a Denver.
Yeah,
Denver can get away not having an Aaron Rodgers because they have a phenomenal defense.
Although I gotta give Simeon some credit because he looked damn good out there in week 2. against the Cowboys defense, but still, he looked good. Now, that's really what it comes down to, and that's why I hate to do it, because the Lions fans out there are going to say, we can control our own destiny. It doesn't have to rely on the Packers being shitty. But unfortunately, the Packers are going to come out and they're going to win a lot of games at the end of the season. The question is, can the Lions keep up the pace? If they go 6-0, if they go 5-1, are they a team that is going to be able to continue down the stretch when they have to play the Steelers, when they have to play the Packers twice? Fortunately, they get to play the Browns and the Bears. When they get to play the Ravens, which have a great defense, the Buccaneers, which are this young, hot team. They get to play the Bengals, so that's nice. But, there's only like 3 of those games that I said are easy, or 4, I guess, because they play the Bears twice. They'll have hard games by then. And by then, Sam Bradford hopefully will be back at the end of November. I believe that's actually the Thanksgiving game.
Well, and I'm looking at the Sam Bradford right now, and they're saying after treatment, he could return this week.
Good.
He could return this week. So it's really a week-by-week basis with Sam Bradford to see how long he will be out.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing where they have a tough, after like the first 6 weeks or whatever, they have a tough schedule going from there. More difficult than not. So they need to keep up they need to keep their foot on the gas and keep winning these games. Otherwise, a team like the Packers totally can do what they always do, which is come back and take it. I would love to see somebody take it from the Packers. I would love to see that, because
also being a Bears fan, you don't like seeing the Packers up there.
But also, it's just one of those things where it's like, all right, let's see some new blood. Let's see somebody else get into the playoffs.
Kind of like how everyone's like, the one thing is, it's not that people hate Tom Brady. There are some out there that do, but it's like my dad's in the category of, he doesn't like seeing the Patriots win.
Because do you really have to see him win again?
He'll always say, like, come on, let's get somebody else in there.
That's why I really wanted the Falcons to win last year, because it would have been new. It would have been fresh. It would have been nice. That's why I'm rooting for the Raiders and Derek Carr to win it this time.
Why you picked them to win it.
Yeah, not that the Raiders haven't won Super Bowls before, but at least it's new blood, Derek Carr.
Here's the tricky thing, though. Bringing the Packers into this situation, here's the tricky thing is... And this is why with the Lions, why this Sunday against the Falcons is so important. Like I mentioned, the Vikings could be a loss if Sam Bradford's out there, but it could be a win even if Sam Bradford's out there. So there's a possibility. Let's say you lose this Sunday, you start the season what would that be, 5-1? Then you get the bye. Then you get Pittsburgh. You get Pittsburgh on the road, though, and Pittsburgh isn't that good of a road. Like, the QBR for Big Ben on the road and at home is so drastic. This Pittsburgh team is not good on the road. So
they could be a perfect 8-8 because they won all the home games and lost all the road games.
You could steal that one, but most teams would probably still pick the Steelers over the Lions. The thing I'm leading to is the Packers and the Lions could end up with the same exact record coming into their Week 9 matchup, because let's say the Lions lose against Atlanta, then they lose either Minnesota or Pittsburgh, take your pick. The Packers' schedule up until that Week 9, Bengals, that's a win. The Bears, wait, is Trubisky starting? No, that's a win. The Cowboys could be a loss. The Vikings could be a loss. Take one of those games. I think you lose one, win the other, and then you beat New Orleans. 2 losses before the bye, you get the Lions Week 9. And that would be the worst case scenario for the Lions. Oh, we've played so well, but we're coming in Week 9, Monday night, tied with the Packers.
Which is a very likely scenario. And honestly, if I were going to take one of these 2 teams right now, because of the huge long list of injuries going on with the Packers, I'm going to take the Lions to beat the Packers right now. The problem is...
Until Aaron Rodgers throws a Hail Mary to Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, pretty much. They're not playing the Lions, and the Packers aren't playing the Lions
until
this coming Sunday. Yeah, it's Week 9. There's a long ways to go. That'll either go positively or poorly for the Packers, because they'll either get even more hurt or everybody gets healthy and they're ready to go. So it's certainly interesting. I honestly think, and I like Ty Montgomery, I really do. But for the Packers fans out there, I'm sure they're hoping to have a real solid answer at the running back position. And, of course, they drafted, 3 of them this year? So they're looking. But I definitely feel that eventually Ty Montgomery's magic doesn't last forever. And I have him on one of my fantasy teams, so I hope it does last forever.
On one of your fantasy teams.
Yeah, I have 2 fantasy teams. The one I care less about won this week, so I like them a little bit more now.
They're the favorite child this week?
Yeah, this week they're my favorite. I would have won if it wasn't for these fucking Lions and Matt Prater getting us 9 points or whatever it was. Because he had to kick an actual field goal and then get like 4 extra points. But anyways, I just look at these 2 teams and I really like, now that Abdullah is actually on the field playing for the Lions, they got their run game going, their defense is going, and they have these fresh young players. Love Tabor, love Davis. They have a guy like Golden Tate out there. The young wide receiver out of NIU, is it Galloway?
Galloway.
There's a D in it, not a W. I'm sorry to Lions fans that I don't know how to pronounce your 3rd round pick's first name.
Galladay.
Or last name, Galladay.
Kenny Galladay.
So, yeah, I mean, it seems like they hit on these first 3 rounds for sure. I really like this Lions team when you just look at them on paper and you see what they're able to do. When you look at these teams, of course, the Giants, on paper, it should be impressive to beat the Giants. In reality, it's not really that impressive. The Giants completely fell apart in both weeks. This Falcons game is the big test. If they win the Falcons game and they win convincingly, all of a sudden I'm going to say Lions are the real deal. They lose this Falcons game, and it's not a nail biter at the very end, a Hail Mary or a field goal or something like that. I'm going to say, all right, same old Lions, just a different year.
Well, and let's be honest, one of the big reasons why the Lions are doing so well, Matthew Stafford. We talked about it, when did we talk about this? What was it, 2 weeks ago? We talked about it, yeah, August 31st. We mentioned how he's now the highest paid player in the NFL. Does he deserve this much money? So far, I would say through 2 games, you're living up to it. 414 yards, which some people may say isn't a lot. It's only, 202 yards per game. But you have the touchdown to interception ratio is important. 6 touchdowns through 2 games, only 1 interception.
Yeah, and he's also got a 100-plus yard rusher out there with him, too.
If you can keep that up, this Lions team could be, I don't want to say deadly, but it could be enough to win the North. Because I want to go to a comment that we actually got on that Lions video from Austin Rich. And he said, LMAO, it takes a team to win, and Green Bay team and GB team plays better. People always say that a quarterback is the biggest position. LMAO, you quarterback just needs to do enough. Joe Flacco is not that good, to be honest.
True.
But the defense won the Super Bowl for them, but people forgot.
But they had a good offense that year. Let's not discount that offense.
And the thing that I relate that to is the Lions in relation to Green Bay. Green Bay, people are saying, like, there was a question on ESPN today of, does Green Bay get a pass because of Aaron Rodgers? Aaron Rodgers has been good for that team. No one really talks about how, like you said, where Ty Montgomery's not a real running back, or like the defense has their woes, because Aaron Rodgers has been able to be good enough to basically will them to the playoffs. Could this be a year for the Lions where, hey, we're kind of seeing it through 2 games, especially with the touchdown to interception ratio, where Matt Stafford says, I don't care if you guys aren't all-stars. I'm willing this team to the playoffs.
Well, I think it's always significant to bring up with the 2 most successful postseasons for the Packers. They've had a running back, a competent running back that's a 100-plus yard rusher. And Ty Montgomery looked like he was going to be yet another one that pushes them forward last year.
Correct me if I'm wrong. When they won the Super Bowl, Eddie Lacy was a big part of that offense.
No, that was Stark.
That was Stark. Okay.
But that's. You can double check on me in case I'm mixing up which running back it was. But Eddie Lacy wasn't there yet. But for this Lions team, it's always been similar to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, of a great quarterback willing their team to victory. And obviously, Lions fans can have this discussion in the comments if they would like. But Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. so he can will them a little bit further. But, when the Packers won their Super Bowl, they had a running game, and they had a pretty good defense that year. The Lions, their defense has, not been as good as what we remember, I don't know, what was that, 6 years ago, 5 years ago maybe? But this defense this year is looking like it's pretty decent. So...
You were right. It was James Starks.
There we go. No, they did play the Giants, of course, and the Giants are a joke right now. But I don't know. This Lions team, they look like they have everything they need. It's just that the Lions teams of past have looked like they had everything they needed as well. And it hasn't worked out for them.
I'm going to bring this up because this topic, I'm going to be completely honest with you, we've actually talked about this exact topic.
I'm sure it comes up every year.
November 17th was the day we published it. The exact title, could the Detroit Lions win the NFC North? The same thing that we're asking today. Because they went on that
really hot run at the end of the season.
And I was going to bring up last year's schedule to where around that time, this was right. So this went up right before that run that they went on. So at this point, they were 5 wins heading into their Week 10 bye. They were 5-4 heading into it. Then they won those 4 straight and went to basically 9-4. But what did they do? Lose to the Giants on the road, which were a playoff team last year.
Yep.
Lose to Dallas on the road, playoff team last year. Lose to Green Bay on the road, playoff team last year.
When it counted, they lost. I mean, you look at the teams they beat. They beat Minnesota, which was a good team last year, but they were. I think that was during.
They beat Minnesota twice last year.
That was during the Minnesota fell apart due to injuries. They beat Jacksonville.
That was after the first 6 games, so we fell apart.
They beat Jacksonville, which wasn't impressive. The Saints are never that impressive defensively.
The Bears weren't good.
The Bears picked. Well, they had the 3rd overall pick for a reason. They were not a good team. And there's a reason why they traded up for a quarterback.
Yeah.
Even being 3rd overall. But anyways, that's Lions football out there. I mean, you look at the other losses they had. Houston was not an amazing team, but Green Bay was a loss. Tennessee, underrated team. And they had a loss to Chicago, but that's a divisional game, so I guess we'll get a pass on that. Yeah.
That was early in the year before Jay Cutler was kind of pushed out.
Before it was Jay, thank you, but
Hoyer and Sparkle Barkles.
Please enjoy your days as a commentator.
Yeah, and then go to the Miami Dolphins. Yeah. But any final things that you think we haven't touched on when we talk about the Lions?
No, I just think that the Lions this weekend's a huge test, so Lions fans enjoy that. And it should be a fun game to watch. And if you beat the Falcons, then the Lions are officially better than the Packers because the Packers couldn't do it.
Yeah. But Packers have lost them twice in the same calendar year.
Yeah. So I think this is a huge test. But really, I mean, the Lions do control their own destiny, but they do have to look behind them and make sure the Packers aren't catching up.
Really, what it's going to come down to if they want to win the North and be king of the North is they've got to beat the Packers. That's what you got to do. And I know what Lions fans are saying. We should have beat them, but that Hail Mary and they beat us. But
it happens.
You got to get it done. And I mean, the first one's going to be in Green Bay Monday night, Week 9, November 6th. Should be a good game. There's a possibility both teams come in with 2 losses. Like the Falcons are favorites this week. The Steelers, even though I would lean towards the Lions because the Steelers aren't good on the road, especially Big Ben's not good on the road. I would say that based off of, hey, they played a Monday night game in primetime and they blew out the Giants. That's going to be a primetime game history for this year. I know it's only one game, but stick with me. That could be a win, but that could also be a loss. So there could be a fact where it's like, great, we're tied with the Packers heading into Week 9, so you got to make those games count, and you can't lose to opponents that you should win.
Especially they have another one on Week 17.
Yeah,
just
that
like
one's at home, and that one's going to be on New Year's Eve.
Just like last year. You can't lose that one because it might decide who wins the division.
The good thing, though, is your last 3 games, you're playing 2 teams that'll probably not be in the playoffs before the Packers.
Let's take that probably out of the sentence. Bengals and the Bears are not in the playoffs.
That won't be in the playoffs. They're still mathematically still in there. Still mathematically available.
They got eliminated in the preseason. Let's be real.
But this is where you guys come in. Let us know down below. What do you guys think? Could the Lions win the North? Are they going to win the North? And how do you think they'll fare against the Packers this year? Let us know down below in the comment section.